for you guys and for last class. Sometimes the date won't match up. So remember, I have AB day, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it may be that the day you miss the video was actually the day before, or possibly the day after. So you may have to watch a couple videos to figure out which one was the one you're missing. It should be either the day before or the day after you were absent. I think we're good to go. So here's the online book. Again, your second really good resource is this guy. Actually, here, I'll show you how to get into it again. I know, again, this is a repeat, but if you didn't write the name of that down, you need to write the name of that down. It's called McGraw-Hill. How it looks a little bit. We will use that a lot, both in class and you have the availability of it at home. I don't really assign homework, but if you're worried about your grade, that's probably the either second best resource, or it might be the best resource depending on which part of it you use or how much you retain in the videos that I make. There's two parts of this that I'm going to use. One of the, and they're separate. I don't think the other one's in here yet. Let's check it out. Yeah, the other one's not in here yet. So the McGraw-Hill is where I'm going to assign practice. So whatever lesson we're working on, I'm actually going to show you what it looks like. I think I might have showed you last week, but I'll show you again since I'm recording this. So as soon as you go into your Clever, you don't raise your hand if you don't know what Clever is. Anybody not from Pinellas, like you went out of state or something last year? So, but you know what Clever is, but you've been in Clever. Okay. So as soon as you go into Clever and you get to your like dashboard or home page or whatever it's called for you guys, actually, I'm just going to go into this class because I don't know if it's set up. It should be set up for your classes. You won't see all of that stuff. Here's the assignment that I've given you. So it's the first thing that pops up. Now, we may not always do it. Like I may assign something and we may never even get to it. Or we may just use the book pages like this. Oh, did anybody come in late and not get this, Harris? Did you get this? You did. So I may just print copies and still assign it to you there, but we may do all the work in the packets. Regardless, I'm going to assign a lot of stuff online so that you can work on it if you feel like you need a little bit of extra help. I won't say that the quiz problems will be exactly like those. They're going to be pretty close. But if you're willing to go in and put the time, because a lot of, I mean, there's a bunch of questions, I think, in that assignment, like 50-something questions, but they're almost like the same questions over and over and over again. Or at least if I combine that with the extra practice questions, you see the same types of questions several times. So by the time you get to a quiz, if you've gone through and if you really spent time on that, quizzes shouldn't be bad at all. And if you're willing to put that kind of effort in, then I'm going to reward you by giving you something that looks familiar. If you don't put the time in on that, then you better really get it. Like you better know for sure that you're getting this stuff backwards and forwards, else you're going to struggle. Some of the quizzes are going to be pretty tough, I think. Any questions on anything else? Oh, there's another tool that's through, it's not under this same icon. It'll be a different icon. It's called Alex. I think I can write on the board. It's called this. So that's a separate tool that I'm going to also use. This is more of a, you kind of work at your own pace. So let's say you feel like you struggle with math and you're not where we're at yet. Like the material that I'm covering, you're like, I'm just not getting this because I'm struggling with some of the old stuff that I'm not remembering as well from middle school. This will kind of help catch you up. Or the opposite's true. If you think I'm going too slow and you're like, this stuff is way too easy, that will be assigned to you and you can go in and it'll actually move you forward and you can kind of work at your own pace, which will mainly help you for your next year when you take the full year of algebra you will have seen all of that stuff before, and we'll have a better chance of doing well on the EOC next year. You don't have an EOC for this year in this class. I make up, well, actually the district does make up the final in this class, but it's not the state EOC that you're used to. Any question on any of that stuff? So one quick thing, and then we'll go into, I'm not doing like a, we're not even gonna use the packet today. I really didn't need to hand it out, I guess. So when we do grades, I told you it's only based on assessments, but it will be a little different than I've ever done, at least I don't know about other teachers. You can get help on your assessments. Like I will, if you don't know how to do something, I'll help you do it on your assessment. But here's the trick to that. You see this guy right here. You see that picture? How do you not see that picture? So it's a guy, a child, riding a bike, and then somebody like helping him along riding the bike. If I'm helping you to do the problem, especially if I'm helping you a lot, your score, I don't care if you wind up getting everything 100% correct, your score is maxed out at what's called a 2. I'll go into that more class period. You can't get any higher than that. So basically it'd be maxed out at a C, and you could still get a D if I'm really helpful. You can't get an A and a B if I'm sitting there helping you nonstop. For an A and a B, you need to be able to do it pretty much on your own. And we'll go into the difference between an A and a B. We have a longer class, maybe. Here's a second, maybe tomorrow. So just if you're one of those people that really kind of relies on your teacher a lot, and eventually you get it right and you've got A's and B's, that's not the way it is anymore. Under this new standards-based grading, you need to rely on yourself. So that's why I said those online tools where you can practice kind of learning how to do it on your own are going to be really helpful for you guys. Now, the good news is, let's say you're somebody that's really struggles with math and you really do struggle to do it on your own. You can get help enough to where you're going to be able to pass the course if you're willing to put the effort. If you just sit there and you're not willing, I'm not going to hold your hand and do it for you. Like I'll give you some hints and ask you questions and try to help you figure it out. But there's really no reason why anybody should not pass this class unless you just sit there and do absolutely nothing. So some of you, again, are in that mindset. I'm not good at math. I've never been good at math. I'm just not going to try. If you try now, you'll pass. Like anybody with my help better be able to do enough to pass. So now I'm not going to sit there and beg you. Like if I walk by and you're constantly not working, you haven't written a single note down, sitting there drawing all the time, then I'm going to move on to somebody else that wants my help and sitting there and doing what they should do. They just struggle with it. But so that's kind of good news and bad news, depending on what boat you're in. Like I said, if you're somebody that historically has really struggled and you've not necessarily passed math courses, that shouldn't be an issue now in this new system because I can help you. I can help you a little bit every single time we have a quiz and you will pass. Now you won't get A's and B's. You'll never be able to get to that point if you're constantly needing help, but pass, which maybe you. So let's talk about bathroom. We get out, by the way, of this class at 9:05. So we're still outside the 10 minutes. So if somebody wants to go to the bathroom, they trade me their phone for this beautiful path that I made up. Very awkward. Hopefully that'll keep people from wanting to wander around with it. So do you have a phone? All right, so we trade. This reminds me to get my pass back in case somebody leaves it. And just be respectful of the fact that thing is folded. Oh. All right, bathroom pass is typically for bathroom, not for locker breaks, but any questions for me? Anything that anybody needs to know about? I talked a lot for those of you that weren't, just really one person that wasn't here. Sports are getting started. Several sports have already started practicing: football, volleyball. Baseball's coming up really soon. I know they changed the practice dates. I missed what it was. Soccer, I think, starts pretty soon. Girls and boys soccer. Girls and boys basketball starts conditioning. Well, at least boys basketball will probably start conditioning in September, but the season, the tryouts aren't until November. Flag football, we're going to start conditioning probably maybe September, October. We don't have our season's not until next semester. Although we do, I think, do a league that's outside of school. So if you're interested in that, regardless, if you're interested in any of that stuff, you got to get a packet filled out. Oh yeah, here it is. So if you haven't gotten one of these, you have to get a packet. You have to get a physical, which you can do here at the clinic. You have to buy insurance, which is like, I think it's like $5 or something like that. You can do it right online, but you can't do anything, even if it's just conditioning. You can't do any of that stuff until you have all that stuff filled out into Coach D. So, all right. Any questions? So the biggest thing that I feel like is the leap from middle school, even though you've really already done some of this in pre-algebra, is this whole concept of a variable. Oh, I forgot to talk about bell work. I didn't have bell work up because you needed to find your seat today, but normally when you come in, this will be up there. So you notice you did the same thing, find your seat, get the packet. I'm not going to make you write it down. Normally you would write this stuff down somewhere. I would say 50% of the bell work problems, so almost every other day we have bell work, will be a quiz question. Like for example, say on probably a quiz, what's a variable? And it should be a pretty simple. But we'll just talk about it today. I do want you to take notes, so get someone out to take notes on, because like I said, that's going to be a quiz question at some point. If I give out a packet and you just want to take all your notes on packets, that's up to you. Some people like having them in notebooks. Some people just need to have them somewhere. You do need to be able to find the bell work. It is the most important questions that we do. And you'll probably see what is a variable 3 or 4 times on bell work. Because that's one that if we don't understand what a variable is, we're going to really struggle to be able to do that, especially when it comes to creating equations. Normally, I'll like when you walk in the door, this is the timer. I'll have a timer set there for like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. It'll be how much time you have to do your bell work. You took the right one. You should do it on that. All right. Just make sure you can find it. All right. So raise your hand and tell me what a variable is. I already talked about it in some classes last week. I don't remember. What do you think? We use letters, but it doesn't actually have to be a letter. Sometimes it could be a picture or a symbol or a question mark. Sometimes same thing, variable. What do you think? It is an unknown number. That's exactly what it is. Now I could give you a more mathy version of that, and I think I did use one that was a little longer, like it's a placeholder or it's a symbol that represents an unknown number, but really it's just an unknown number. We don't know what that number is. So let's do some algebra right now. I guess we can just use this screen. Who am I going to call? Angela answers. Ryzen. I'm calling Ryzen. So Ryzen, you're going to go to the movies with some friends. So we just did a definition of what is an unknown, or sorry, what is a variable? A variable is an unknown number. Write that down. You're off. So Ryzen, you're going to the movie with some friends, and you are super rich. So you're going to buy all the tickets for everybody. So let's go. So you're going with 5 friends. How many tickets do you need? You're going with 5 friends. There you go. That's actually not the algorithm. So you're gonna buy all 6 of those tickets. How much are you gonna spend? $50. How do you know? oh, we're gonna need a variable, aren't we? What's the variable gonna be? Actually, two variables technically. What's the problem? What do we not know?
We don't know how much we're gonna spend yet.
Well, because we don't know what. We don't know the total because we don't know what.
Tickets.
We don't know how much one ticket is, right? I didn't tell you how much a ticket was. I just told you you had 6 people going, you plus 5 other people. So that's all a variable is you don't know something. Sometimes there are 2 variables, which is the case there. What did we say? Did we do the mental mathing? Who was the fastest person adding? Who was the fastest adder in the class last week? We do that? So we did. So we said if you add the same number over and over and over again, then you're really just doing multiplication. So if I make the cost of a ticket question mark, right? Not even using letters yet. It's a question mark. I would say, well, that ticket plus that ticket plus that ticket plus that ticket plus that ticket, and then plus, why that happened? Plus that ticket is the total. Right? I got 6 tickets. However much each ticket costs, I'm just adding that up. And it's always the same price, right? One ticket's going to be the same price as the next ticket, is the next ticket, is the next ticket. We said, well, wait a minute. Instead of me adding over and over and over and over again, I could just multiply the number of tickets. What do I use to multiply? What symbol? Dot. Do not put an X for multiplication. You don't remember that? Write it down. We do not use X's for multiplying. That's X is now a variable. So 6 times, well, actually here, I'm going to write it in words. The question mark is the cost of one ticket. Equals a total. So if I take 6, I multiply. Now I don't know what the cost of one ticket is. I don't know that yet, so it's an unknown. So that's when the variable comes into play. And technically, we'd have 2 variables. We could say 6 times X equals Y, because the total is a different number than the cost of one ticket, so we can't use X twice.
So we don't know what X is.
We don't know what either of them are, right? I didn't, because I didn't tell you what one is, and that's the only way to figure out the other.
Because technically,
Well, again, we don't know. We can't say that X is 1. Like there's no 1 involved in this equation. So in this case, there's only 3 things. There's how many people or how many tickets, we could say. That's the 6. How much is one ticket, which we don't know, right? We don't know how much one ticket is. I didn't tell you that. Well, if we don't know how much one ticket is, there's no way to calculate the total. Well, we don't know what one ticket is. I didn't tell you. Like I haven't told you how much a ticket is, so you can't say anything about the total. Now, if I gave you more information, and if I said, well, what about this? What if I tell you, so still have the 6 people going or the 6 tickets, we would still multiply that times how much, so X is how much is one ticket, it just is kind of replacing that cost of one ticket. And then I say, we'll see who's good at mental math here. And then I say it cost you $90. Oh, fast, Zach, Charles. Super good at mental math. So Charles said, well, if I know now that last piece, that 90, there's only one number that if I multiply that number times 6, it's going to give me 90. And that's $15. So here's 2 notes you're going to take. I couldn't solve this. Couldn't solve it. Don't know enough information yet. So here's your first note. If you have 2 variables, but only one equation, you can't solve it. There's no way, not possible. You could graph it, which we'll get into graphing. Probably, actually, I don't know when we get into graphing now. It changed all the standards around. So 2 variables, but only one equation, you cannot solve for the variables. I'll give you a second to write that down.
in one.
One equation. If you don't know how to spell equation. Okay. So two variables, one equation, you cannot solve for those variables. It's still an equation, we just can't solve for the variables. We could graph all the possible answers, but we can't solve, because there's multiple answers. Because if this number goes higher, this number would just go higher also. If this number goes lower, this number would just go lower. So there's just like an infinite number of solutions. That's why we can't give one solution. Once we know one of these two, though, then there's only one answer. There's only one number that will work right there to make this side equal that side. So now the next one is, if you have one variable in one equation, you can solve. So one variable, one equation, you can solve that. Still taking those notes on that portion. Take notes, bud. I'm telling you, you can need them. Some of our stuff's open note, remember? And it might just be exactly what I say in class. Sometimes it will be exactly what I say.
And then you said if it's not a variable equation.
You can solve it. Yep. That, like, we could solve this. There's only one number times 6 that is 90. That's 15. Oh, we have 9:05. So we have just enough time for this. Then this will be all looking. So now this part, don't really have to take notes on. Just try not to zone out. It's not like there's nothing you're going to, well, you'll answer some questions. But so now let's move away from the movie ticket. So the movie ticket would have been $15. That would have been the cost of one. That is how we solved it, is because we knew, well, if my total was 90, there's only one way to get 6 times some number is 90, and that's that one ticket has to be 15. Now let's talk again about a variable. I still think that this is the biggest stumbling block. Kids never really understood variables. So we're going to have a little demonstration with candy. So in this bag, what is in this bag? In this bag is a number of Jolly Ranchers. How many Jolly Ranchers do you think are in there, Mike? 8. What do you think? Jathan, right? What do you think? Going with 6. And what do you think, Sean? 5. Would any of you bet your life on that? Do you know what's in there? No. So what do you think I'm going to use to represent this bag of candy? That's an unknown, right? This is a variable. This bag of candy is a variable. What variable would you use to represent it? X. X is pretty common. X and Y. So load. So a variable is just an unknown number of something. I'm going to use Jolly Ranchers and Lifesavers because we really won't get into more than 2 variables in this class. You will next year, not here. So if you want to think of a variable as a bag of Jolly Ranchers or a bag of Lifesavers, if it's a different variable, that will work. So this is a unknown number. I don't know how many are in there, but I know it's a bag of Jolly Ranchers. This is a bag of Jolly Ranchers. Here's the key. If it's a bag of Jolly Ranchers, it's got the same number of Jolly Ranchers. However many are in that bag of Jolly Ranchers are always in this bag. The number is never different. So if I have the same variable in multiple spots in an equation, it always represents the same number. Can't be 2 over here and then 4 over here. So whatever is in that bag, still Jolly Ranchers, but whatever is in that bag is the same number in this bag. So what am I going to use to represent this if it's a bag of Jolly Ranchers? Same number of them. So X. Nope, because remember, same Jolly Ranchers. So if it's the same candy, it's the same variable. So now I have 2 bags of Jolly Ranchers, right? Oh, and the goal here is we want to know how many pieces of candy total. Total number of pieces of candy. Not that much. This is a bag of Lifesavers. You know how many Lifesavers? No idea, right? So what do you think I'm going to use to represent this? I'm going to use a variable, but I don't want to use X. This is not Jolly Ranchers. This is Lifesaver. So I'm going to use a different variable. Now, it could be the same number. The number could still be the same. I could have 3 and 3. But the key is this is a different candy. It is a different variable. So we use Y. But again, it's a bag of an unknown number of pieces of candy. So I have 2 bags of Jolly Ranchers, now 1 bag of Lifesavers. This is Jolly Ranchers. What am I going to use? And do I know how many are in here? Well, what do I know? Same as in here. Whatever number this is, however many pieces, are the same pieces in that, all those bags with X. Last, Y, again, back to Lifesavers. However many Lifesavers are in here are the same number of Lifesavers in that bag. Now here's the one different part. I have 2 Jolly Ranchers and 4 Lifesavers. I know that, right? I see them. I know I have 6 pieces of candy right there. That's the known. Now this is a known. Those are unknown. This is a known. What am I going to do with these? In an equation.
Put them in
Not
the
eat them,
top
don't
of
say
the-
eat them. Which, like, where would they belong? What would I do? Not exactly. So how would I come up with like, what would I do to know the total number of pieces of candy? Again, using the fact that some things are unknown. Well, I wouldn't do multiplication. Let's not use multiplication just yet. Well, let's not use any multiplication. Do I know how many are in, how many Jolly Ranchers are in a bag? But what did I say I'm representing that unknown amount of X? So let's just start with an X. X is some number of Jolly Ranchers. What would I need to do to that X? I want to know total number of pieces of candy. Let's take baby steps. We eventually will. Let's just add all the pieces of candy. What am I going to add to that X? I can add a Y, right? Because I know there's Lifesavers in those bags. What else am I going to add? I do know there's a 6, right? So I could add a 6. I know I've got that number of pieces of candy. Now here's the thing. What does this X represent? In how many bags? Well, that X doesn't represent 3 bags. The X represents 1 bag. The Y represents 1 bag. So now I need to know how many bags I've got. How many more X's do I need? Well, I need 2 more, right? However many in that, plus however many in that, plus however many in that. If I add up all the X's, that's the total pieces of Jolly Ranchers in the bags. Because I also have some in this 6. I would then need to add a Y. T is just total because I ran out of room. So that's my equation. I'm just saying, well, I don't know the number in the X bag. I don't know how many Jolly Ranchers, but if I added that number, because again, this is just an unknown number. Might be 3 Jolly Ranchers, might be 4, might be 5. Regardless, I don't need to know the number to set up an equation and say, okay, well, if I just add the number of pieces here, plus the number of pieces here, plus the number of pieces that I do know, because I see those, plus the number of pieces I don't know, the number of pieces I don't know. If I just add all that stuff up, that's an equation. That's all you're doing. You're adding unknowns, and to represent the unknowns, you're using a variable. Now, this is where we're getting to what Charles was kind of saying about the multiplication part. What did we say a shortcut to addition is? If I'm adding the same number over and over again. Okay, you got this the other day. What was this? How'd you get the mental math so fast? What did you do? You multiplied, right? So instead of saying X plus X plus X, we say 3 times X plus 2 times Y. And then we still add the 6 in because we know that 6 and T again stands for total piece of the candy. So that's your kind of your next step. We just said, well, if I have 3 X's, it'd be 3 times X, 2 Y's, 2 times Y. And then all we're doing here is we're just taking out the multiplication symbol. That's an equation. That's how you build an equation based on unknowns. So if you didn't follow that, that's fine. you can get by. We'll work with that. If you followed it and that clarified kind of what a variable is, then you're in pretty good shape. I'll tell you one more thing that's kind of a short version. When you're multiplying or when you have a number right in front of a variable, all that number, so you need to write this down, those of you that zoned out, zone back in. All the number in front of the variable tells you is how many of those variables you have. That's all it's saying. We had 3 bags of Jolly Ranchers, so we had a 3 in front of the X. We had 2 bags of Lifesavers, so we have a 2 in front of the Y. It's just telling you how many of that variable you have. Not any crazy math stuff going on. You're literally just saying, oh, 3X, that means I have 3 X's. 2Y, oh, I have 2 Ys. And just think of Y as a physical thing. In this case, I use candy. You can use yo-yos if you want to use the same thing it starts with or whatever. What's that? So the number in front of a variable is just telling you how many of those variables you have. So if I have a 3 in front of this X, that just meant I had 3 X's. In this case, I use bags of candy to represent X. So that's all we're doing today. You can have phones out for the last minute or so.
Keep the package.
Yes, if you need a folder, do you need a folder? Remember, you can keep stuff in this room. The only thing I'll assign is online work, so you really won't need to take the stuff out. If you're not fantastic at holding on to stuff, get in here. All right, I'll see you guys first thing tomorrow. Are you good since you weren't here last week? Do you have any questions about where you go? You're good? All right. So you should have rights that are corrected now. Oh, actually, no, I haven't corrected. I couldn't correct that. Your mom said they told her, I can't, I tried, I can't correct it. So I sent an email to them, so if they haven't corrected it, let me know. Absent. So they probably didn't get the email until this morning, so it might not be corrected. Actually, I can look real quick and see if she corrected it or not. Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, I definitely know. Oh, shoot. Stop my recording.